Welcome to Shred the Debt, the podcast that cuts through confusion and empowers you to take control of your financial future. Whether you're buried in student loans, battling credit card balances, or just tired of living paycheck to paycheck, well, you're in the right place. Each week we bring you real strategies, inspiring stories, and expert insights to help you shred your debt and build the life you deserve. Are you ready to take action? Subscribe now, share this episode with someone who needs it, and join the movement to destroy debt for good. No BS, no judgment, just real talk and real results. Let's get to work. Guys, welcome back. I am Mike Boone, and I am your host, and this is Shred the Debt. And, man, I've got a pretty cool kind of impromptu show for today. I want to talk about fine print, the fine print, and we're going to relate this to business, our finances, and we're also going to relate it to our personal life, and we might even throw a little faith in there, and circle all this, make this a big old bundle. So I guess to start out, to talk about fine print, I want to give you guys an example of something that personally happened to me last week. So last week I was out in sunny California. I was out in LA, and I was there for the week. I was expecting it to be in the 80s, and it was cold. It was in the 50s. So pretty cool for this time of year out in California. But anyway, when I got out there, I had a rental car, and I went to get my rental car from the airport, and I had a rental car arrangement that was $34 a day. That was that was what my booking was for. So I'm a preferred member or whatever, so I get free upgrades, all that stuff. I travel quite a bit. So when I went to the counter to get the rental car, they said, "Would you like to upgrade to a full-size SUV?" And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. What do you have, right? What are you trying to sell? And they said, "We have a Mercedes. We have a sale on Mercedes SUVs this week." And I'm like, man, that sounds pretty cool. Driving around LA in a Mercedes, I'll look like a local out here, So I said, well, okay, well, what's the price? And they're like, well, we're running a 90% deal right now, and it's $40 a day. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, I'm paying 36, or 34, whatever it was, right? I think it was 34. So $34 a day, and I can upgrade to 40, so $6, right? So I'm going to rent, they're saying it's 90% off. So, okay, that's cool. Yeah, put me in that guy. So they did. They were quick to, give me my paperwork and with the key and everything. And that's basically how it went down. And as I got back to the hotel later on that evening, I had that rental car agreement, and I was looking at it, and they charged me $40 a day, but they charged me $40 a day on top of the $34 a day that I was already paying. So what I thought was a $40 a day car ended up to be a $70-some a day car. So, that was a little shady business by the rental car agent because it wasn't clear, right? I feel like sometimes companies do things and they're really unclear. They just want to make the sale. And if they make the sale, then, that's good on them. And, it bothered me a little bit because I was like, would I have paid the extra $40 a day to rent the Mercedes? Probably not, right? It wasn't a big thing for me. I was just there, I was there for a few days. I didn't really need a flashy car. But it was cool that I could do it if I was just going to do it for just a few dollars. A cost that was double of my rental was not really in play. So I did make them aware of it when I did return the car, and they're like, "Well, you got it for 90% off," and I'm like, "Well, that's kind of besides the point." But anyway, I did reach out to the company, and they understood, and they they're like, well, our training could definitely have been better in that situation. So they were able to rectify the situation, and that's fine. But it's just the clarity, right? The clarity in the fine print, the contract. And there are companies, cell phone companies are ones to really do this. Credit card companies will do this. I'll tell you somebody else that does it is parking. So here in Nashville, there are signs everywhere when you go downtown to an event or something. They will have a sign that says $5 parking, right? So that's all you see. And then when you get up to the sign, you see that it's $5 for the first 30 minutes. It's not $5 for parking. But it's a little misleading, right? So there's fine print, and I think that's how a lot of companies work. Use car lots or brand new car lots, just car lots in general. They will say, hey, come buy a car from us and we will pay off your trade. We will pay off your car no matter how much you owe. If you just look at that and take that at face value, let's say you have a car that's worth $10,000 and you owe $20,000, and you see that commercial and you're like, okay, I'm going to go trade my car in. They're going to pay it off. They're going to pay this car off. I'm in great shape. And then you go and you find a $20,000 car and you buy it. And if in other shows we've talked about, if you go to the car lot and you're asking about payments and you're not asking about price, you're setting yourself up for failure. And that's kind of how this works too. If you don't understand that you are still responsible for the negative equity in that car, and it's just going to roll over into your new loan. So those are the kind of questions that you need to ask when you're buying a car. It's not how much is my payment going to be, because they can roll that additional $10,000, that negative equity, into your car, and now you have a $20,000 car that you owe $30,000 on, versus having a $10,000 car that you owe $20,000 on. So you have to be really careful, and you have to be able to answer or ask questions. Okay, you have to be able to say, okay, well, what about, just be mindful. This money's not just going to go away. They're not going to pay off your debt just for you to have a newer car. That would be awesome, right? But they're not going to do that. In cell phone companies, I'm not sure. On cell phones, I've never had multiple lines, but I see advertisements all the time for bring your number to such and such company, and we will give you 4 new iPhones, or we will pay $750 or something to get you out of your phone, so you can take bring your phone to our company or whatever. So I'm not sure how those work, but I'm sure that there is something that if you default on something within a certain period of time, I'm sure you're gonna be paying for those 4 iPhones, or you're gonna be, whatever money they give you, they're gonna take it back. And that's one of the things that you have to be conscious of in any type of I guess transaction that deals with some sort of contract, some sort of agreement. That's where the fine print comes into play, because we don't always look at the fine print, but it does. It shows up everywhere. It shows up in loan agreements, credit cards, insurance policies, your medical bills, free trials. That's one. You can sign up, any of these things that you sign up, but you have to have a credit card, right? They're like, oh, it's free trial. But if you don't call and cancel it, they'll bill you. That's where the real cost lives, right? So if you skip over it, then you're going to end up with fees that you didn't expect, or commitments that you didn't realize, penalties. A long time ago, and I'm not sure now if loans are this way, but I can remember when I was in my maybe early 20s, there were loans that you could get that had a payment penalty if you paid it off early. You know, you would think that the bank would be like, "Whoa, this guy paid his bill early. Good for him," right? But no, they have their interest that they're going to make calculated into those loan terms, and if you pay it off early, you're going to pay a penalty. So you have to think about it, because they're not going to have terms that work against them, right? The terms that they're going to have you agree to are going to be favorable to the company that with the terms, right? So it's good for you to have a clear picture of any agreement that you're going to get into. Now, how I would like to take the fine print, and the fine print in life is having, a contract with yourself. If you take your goals, let's say if you have some sort of goals that you want to meet, if it's a financial goal, if it's getting out of debt, whatever personal life goal you have, that's in your fine print, right? I'm going to do this by this time. That's a life goal. That is your fine print that is specific to the contract that you have with yourself. And the cool thing about the fine print within your personal life and within yourself, you are the contract holder. You can adjust the terms as often as you want. If you want to make the terms stricter, if you want to change the terms altogether, if you want to loosen them up a little bit, you can do that, and you can modify that, and that's cool. And when we look at that, and then this is where I'm going to throw faith into the mix here. So faith, whether it's a spiritual belief or a belief in your own ability to grow, it's about rewriting the fine print. It's choosing to believe the bigger promise instead of the hidden clauses that hold you back. So if you think about that, if you think about how you want to grow and your ability to grow, then that is you rewriting that fine print. When you think about faith, if we just think about faith just as the word right now, there's basically two definitions of faith. The first one you automatically assume when a person says faith, they automatically associate it with religion. I would assume so. So faith from that standpoint, the definition would be a strong belief in the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual conviction rather than proof. Okay? But if we look at this just from a dictionary standpoint of the word faith, it is complete trust or confidence in someone or something. That's the fine print, right? That is the fine print of you as a person. You have trust or you have confidence within yourself. And if you want to grow, you have to be able to identify all these little things, these clauses in your fine print, in your life contract, and you have to have the confidence and you have to believe in yourself, and you can rewrite your fine print. And that's the cool thing about that. And one of the biggest quotes that I've ever heard, I may have told this story in I know I've shared this quote before, but I was sitting in a restaurant in Nashville several months ago, and I looked up on the wall, and in chalk was written this quote, and it said, "Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase." And that's a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. And that's real life. And you can take that quote and that definition. I mean, the definition is there. That's what it is. It's taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. that is giving you the ability to rewrite your fine print. And that's I feel like that's awesome. So if we look at the fine print, I mean, we have agreements with ourselves, right? And whether it be our morals, whether it be whatever it is that we believe in, it's us as people. And it's us as people that I guess I'm trying to see how I can relate the trust in ourselves and the fine print, the morals that we have, the beliefs that we have, the choices that we make us who we are, right? And that's our fine print. We as people have a contract. We are a living doctrine. Okay, we are a living contract, and the beliefs that we have are the clauses in our contract, and that's how we operate from day to day. We're no different than an installment loan, right? There are consequences to failing to, pay your bill, pay your payment. If you're late, there's a fee. The same thing goes with us as individuals in our fine print, and we can alter that, but we can also we have to hold ourselves accountable to the contract, and we can't just adjust the contract to make our lives easier, but we can change the contract to have us more accountable. Being more accountable and holding ourselves accountable is going to make us better as individuals. It's going to make us better as, I guess, financial overseers of our budget and of our finances and just of our own financial goals. So that's the kind of the cool stuff. And I did get a couple of emails. I know this I didn't mean to come off hinged on this show this week, but I was thinking about the fine print, and I was like, how can we relate the fine print from this rental car experience and put that in the show and actually have it relatable to life and our finances? And I think we've been able to accomplish that. And I did get a couple of emails this week, and I want to share a couple of them. I don't have the names in front of me, but I do have, as far as the basis of the email, and they were both, the two that I want to talk about are both, they have to do with making changes to your budget, and that directly relates to the fine print. So if we create a budget, we're managing our finances, we're managing our money monthly, that's a contract that we have shown ourselves, that we have agreed to as our own selves, right? Our household, however you have your budget, whether it's with you and your spouse or you and your significant, whatever it is, if it's you just by yourself, right? You have entered into a binding contract with your budget and with yourself, right? So the emails were talked about, can I modify my budget? And yeah, sure. The quick answer to that is yes. There are items in that. They're going to be non-negotiables, right? There's going to be non-negotiables in your fine print in your life. There are going to be things that you are going to see as just your beliefs. It could be your political beliefs. It could be your religious beliefs. It could be as simple as smoking, right? Or drinking, or just anything. It could be maybe you don't want to shop at this particular store. Your fine print is completely up to you. So with that said, there are non-negotiables in your budget, the same as there are non-negotiables in your fine print. If you don't want to be around cigarettes or something like that, that could be a non-negotiable for you. So if you are thinking about going somewhere, but there's going to be a lot of cigarettes or a lot of smoking or a lot of drinking or something that is a non-negotiable for you, then you're not going to do that, right? You're not going to make that change in your contract, in your fine print. The same goes for your budget. There are going to be certain things in your budget that you can't negotiate. Your mortgage or your rent, anything that has to do with your living, your life, your monthly bills. Now, if we're talking about tanning, or we're talking about, our coffee budget, or we're talking about something of that sort that is not really was not a necessity to live. Food is a necessity to live. However, eating out is not, right? So you can go to the grocery and you can have food at home and you don't have to eat out. So if you have eating out once a month or twice a month, whatever it is in your budget, and you want to modify that, then sure, you can take from that and put it somewhere else. You can put it in your savings. You can move it to something else. Maybe you want to up your tanning membership to something bigger. Then you can take from one place and put to another. That's what I would recommend you to do. And you're changing the contract, but you're not changing the fine print, so to speak. If you were to take, you're using the same money, right? That's what I'm getting at. So you have the same contract. You're kind of changing the terms a little bit, but it's the same contract. We're not changing banks. So if I were looking at a budget, and I look at mine, I look at mine sometimes to see if there's areas that I can cut to put more money into investments. And we'll do a show coming up on investments. I talk about it. It's like I give you guys little teasers on investing and ETFs and stocks and those sort of things, and we'll get there. You probably do a whole show on my stock pick failures. But going back to this, if we look at our budget, and I look at my budget, and the way that I did mine is, my mortgage is the same every month, so that's 12 months. But when I took in consideration of my utility bills, my electric is higher in the summer than it is in the winter because I have electric AC, and then I have gas heat. So my electric bill, opposite of people that have electric heat, in the wintertime, their bill is really, really expensive if it's really cold outside, and mine's not bad, but my gas bill is more expensive. So there's a trade-off there. So what I like to do is I like to take the 12-month running average, and then just do an average of those 12 months, and that's what I put in my budget. And sometimes I add a little to it in case it's really cold or it's hotter than average. I definitely want to have the money in there, but I don't want to cut myself too short, but I don't want to put too much fat in it either. So I have made changes to things like my coffee budget. I told you guys about my coffee budget a couple weeks ago. I was able to even save myself like $20 a month and still get coffee every day. So that's kind of cool. Things like that. You can shop around on insurance. I think we may have talked about that in a previous show, where I would check around on my insurance annually, and then you can find a savings. If you find that costs are increasing, then you have to go back to your budget. But there's little places that you can shave. You put your grocery budget, for example. If you're buying bougie stuff and you can save money at the grocery store, then you can do that and then make those changes, and then you can look and see what the new trend is monthly. And if you set a $500 a month budget for groceries and you're only spending like $300 a month, then I think it's pretty safe that you could at least take half of that savings, that $100, and you could apply that somewhere else. So I feel like those are the things that you can do as far as a budget, and that's changing the fine print. I mean, there's going to be certain things that you can change, and there's going to be certain things that you can't. So the biggest thing is when we tie this into faith, we can look at what are we believing in. The number one the number one thing that you have to believe in first is yourself. Now, whether you have your faith includes faith in God or faith in religion, then you can put your faith into that. Or the same is you can put your faith in yourself. You can put your faith in your spouse or whatever. The biggest thing is you have to have a belief that the system is going to work, that you are going to be okay. You can't have fear. Okay, so with a budget, the budget helps to eliminate fear and unknowns and things like that. People are scared to death of the IRS and scared to death of taxes and being audited and all that stuff, right? But I've always heard that like 90% of everything you worry about or something never happens. Maybe it's even higher than that. But if you go into something with faith and you believe in yourself and you're confident, then there's nothing that's going to stop you. But you need to be aware, right? And just like in real life, with fine print, you have to be aware of what you're doing. If you're looking at trading a car, ask questions. Be smart and ask questions. And there's not going to be any such thing as a dumb question. And if it is dumb to somebody else, it's not dumb to you, or you wouldn't have asked it. So don't be afraid to ask any questions, because it's going to be a financial responsibility that is your responsibility. So, look into it and investigate it, ask the questions, and then make a conscious, legitimate decision that you can live with. If it's a new phone, if it's a new car, if it's a new something that there's a payment attached to it or there's some sort of money attached to it, then you need to understand it. If it's consolidating credit card balances, if it's something, if you get a 0% check in the mail and you're like, well, I'm going to pay my credit card off, or I'm going to consolidate all these bills with this credit card check, you better ask the questions and look into what is attached to that 0%. Because I'm going to tell you there's going to be a fee attached to it based on the amount of the check, right? So I've been down that road. I've done that years ago, and I thought it was awesome. And it is to a certain extent, but they give you these offers expecting you to fail. And then when you fail, the interest goes berserk. So keep that in mind. So I think we've done a pretty good job here, guys. I feel like we've discussed the faith. That was the big thing, and then the fine print. Because I'm telling you that rental car deal was really something. So we got it figured out though. So that's cool, and I hope you guys learned a little bit as far as faith, and just believe in yourself. And that's what we have to do. I mean, this show, we did go into a lot of stuff about, roadmap of finance today, but that's what's important about this show is it's about you. It's about learning. It's about changing our habits and our techniques and just being diligent and just being impactful in our everyday life, and it helps us think different. And if we can think different, then we act different. And then when we act different, we can make great progress in our lives, both financially, emotionally. We can get the feelings out of money, and that's what we're trying to do. And from day one, I want to try to get the feelings out of money, get the emotion out of it, get the drama out of it. I say every show, debt is a math problem. I say that a lot, but it is. It's just money. And I know that sounds, really crappy. If you're upside down on a lot, you're like, well, it's not. It's my livelihood because I owe so much money. Yes, but it's temporary. It's temporary. And as soon as you can fix the mindset and adjust your fine print and have faith and believe in yourself and believe in what you can do, nothing's going to stop you. So I'm going to wrap it up here for today. I want you guys to I want you guys to get back involved in these emails. I love reading these emails. The cool thing about these emails, it seems like every week, like I can either put a call to action out, and then you guys can do a reflection, or you guys just reflect, and I love that. I love that we get a reflection, and then we just get to use these emails on the air. So I want to continue to do that. I want you to share. I guess the call to action this week is every one of you guys, I want you to share this podcast with someone, because I feel like it's different, right? It's not just someone trying to sell you service, it's trying to sell you a book. It's someone that's actually living what you're going through and being a friend and offering that friendship and offering that advice and helping you grow and helping you conquer those financial woes and those battles that you guys are dealing with. So that's cool. I want you guys to keep the emails coming in, but please share this with your people, because that's how we grow and we continue to grow. So I want to thank you all for tuning in to Shred the Debt, where financial freedom isn't a dream, it's a plan. If today's episode has helped you take one step closer to crushing your debt, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, rate it, and leave a review. So you guys can reach us, shredthedebt@gmail.com, and we will get back to you. We'll send you whatever it is that you need. If you want some advice, if you want us to look over something, if you want us to send you a budget, whatever you want. If you want the tools, tips, and motivation, follow us. I made a TikTok today talking about the all the different stuff with the consolidation of loans and all the stuff, and we're just everything's cloudy, right? We don't know what we want to believe. We don't know what we want to do. But I want you guys to, if you can join the Shred the Debt community, you're going to learn something. And if you're not learning to be a better person with your finances, hopefully I'm going to help you just to be a better person. So it's great, and I look forward to everything. And I want you guys to spread the joy, spread this learning experience, and spread this podcast. So until next time, I want you guys to keep pushing, keep planning, keep shredding. You've got this. I'm Mike Boone. We'll catch you next time. Thank you.